Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Today, the lion's share of this episode is going to be totally dedicated to investments and to the investment policies we have. What the state is doing, or what are the efforts exerted to facilitate all the procedures in front of the new investors. The foreign sector, the private sector, whether foreign private sector or local private sector. We are going to deal and in details with all the outlines or all the statements which were released recently by His Excellency Minister of Finance, Dr. Hassan Al-Khatib, as he was outlining the whole story and making it that simple. But we are going to have this kind of correlation, let's call it this way, with the statements which were released today by His Excellency the Prime Minister. Before we go into this, let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister of Commercial. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Ambassador Ayoub, today Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, accompanied by a bundle of top state executives. He inspected a number of health facilities in El Giza and Cairo Governorates, or Greater Cairo to be accurate.
Yes.
The hospital of Al Masriyin, Bula, one of the oncology centers, and after the inspection tour, he had, let's say, heavyweight statements, if I may call it this way, released in a press conference which was held right after the tour. We are going, if you permit me, to tackle together or to discuss together at least some of the statements which were released by the Prime Minister during the press conference. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said, we do support the development sectors with very huge ratios just to fill the gap between the needs or the requirements of the state and the resources of the state in the best way ever and in the quickest manner. How do you see this as a first headline?
This is a guideline for the investing in Egypt. Investing, when we say investing in Egypt, it is a multidimensional word. That is to say, I'm not speaking only about local investors and foreign investors, but investing in Egypt, that is, Egypt has a lot to offer investors in any sector if you want. Whatever sector, even infrastructure, in machinery, in industry, in agriculture, in land reclamation, in services, in Suez Canal and transportation, all sectors, they are a heavy investments. And when we see that many investors are coming now to Egypt, not only to explore, but rather with their money and their know-how and transfer of technology, because they see a big market, lucrative market, government policies, and facilitation of ways and means, and at the same time combating, if you can say, combating bureaucracy. Because bureaucracy at some stage it was hampering any investment, whether local or
corruption.
Foreign.
Bureaucracy is a sort of corruption.
It is a door of corruption.
Yeah, amen to that.
Door of corruption.
But I mentioned this in a specific, sir, because the Prime Minister said another, in my humble opinion, very important term or very important description. He said that we are on daily basis taking decisions to facilitate all the procedures in front of the investors, whether they are local, foreign, new investors, startups, in all domains, to make it easier for them or to pave the way for preparing the environment for new investments. The word daily basis here, I think, as far as I know,
yes,
the very first time to be used by a Prime Minister or by a top executive, let me call it this way too.
When the Prime Minister himself says on daily basis, this means that the government is keen, is serious, it is looking with all its nerves to what is needed in this market and what is needed by the investors and also what is needed by the Egyptian economy. Economy thrives when investments are pouring and coming to Egypt. Economy is in a better shape when we find that all the obstacles are taken care of and deleted one by one. When the Prime Minister and the President himself listens to the would-be investors and to industrialists, and sit with them, the President, when he sits with the industrialists, and see what they want, what are their complaints, and says within 2 months all these complaints will be solved. When you say we're giving 60 days grace period so that the government will do its best to solve all the problems which the investors spoke about and mentioned, this means that we are serious, we are keen, and we mean business.
And we are with them.
Yes.
I mean, we are following up minute by minute what's going on, because if there is any problem or any obstacle on the way, it should be eliminated on the
So
spot.
when you say the word on daily basis, this gives relief to the investors. This means that the government is looking to them in a friendly way, in a welcoming way, and want them to increase their investors, because this encourages other investors and would-be investors to step in. This is what we want. It is as simple as this.
Also, the Prime Minister was very much clear and transparent when he mentioned the Suez Canal revenues, and to what extent, of course, it was negatively impacted by what's going on in the region, things which we do not have a hand in. And he said that when the stability and peace are restored once again, this very important source of income is going to return back to its previous rates, and this is going to be another push. Mentioning that is saying that we are very much aware of all the problems and crises around us, and we are trying to solve them on the ground without denying that this is really happening. How do you see also this, or mentioning this?
Egypt is playing an important role in creating stability and peace in the Red Sea, and I can say even as far as Somalia is So why we do that? Because it directly affects navigation in the Suez Canal. This is one thing. Other important factor which is not neglected by the government is that we are creating new economic zone around the Suez Canal. This is something very important. Why? Because I'm not depending on the Suez Canal as a passage or transit route for
just a navigation route.
No, it's not. It is not only like that. Not anymore. Now we see Chinese investors, Russian investors, Geo investors, and others, and Arab investors, of course, are coming to the Suez Canal zone because the government is making it far easier now to come invest in a lucrative market. And also, there's something very important. This market has access to, we have bilateral or multilateral trade agreements, preferential trade agreements with almost 70 countries. Not only in Africa, but in Africa and the Arab countries and other countries of the world. So many
because
groups.
We are the liaison, as the French are saying.
Yes, you can say that.
Sir, and just before being on air, we were discussing, or we were mentioning your stay in China, as you served in China for years and years. I'm not going to go far from the core of our episode, but how the Chinese authorities were looking at Egypt as having this very distinguished location and the importance of the Suez Canal. This is a little bit, I'm not going to say far from our episode, but we're going to link it with what we do have right now.
The Chinese, when they came to Egypt, they studied. They did not take decisions until they were sure that this market is a lucrative market. It will give them access not only to the 110 million consumers, but rather to 1.5 billion consumers in Africa and in other countries of the world. So after they were sure that this will be a hub for the Chinese investors, they came and they established presence, whether in Suez Canal area or in other parts of Egypt. This means that other investors are looking to what the Chinese are doing. Chinese are very careful and particular about details. That is why when the Chinese came and established economic presence and economic free zone with Egypt.
An industrial zone too.
Yes. This encouraged other investors Arab and European and American from others and even the Russian to come to Egypt and not always not to explore but rather to invest directly to invest. The government is keen as far as foreign investment is concerned. We see that in the new laws, procedures, regulations, and even when the president himself gives orders that we should pay attention and listen to what investors say and what they need. This means that we are serious, we are keen to encourage more investors to come in, because the direct impact on the economy, it raises the standard of living level. It increases employment, that's to decrease unemployment. At the same time, it gives the access for the Egyptian products to other markets. When I say Egyptian products, I say Egyptian sophisticated products which are suitable to the foreign markets. The Chinese are very clever in this respect.
Sure.
The other countries, of course, are not less clever, but when I look to the Chinese experience in Egypt, it is a model for other countries to come and invest in this big country.
1,100,000,000 person, the population, we are speaking about
1.4 billion people.
1.4 billion people.
Yes.
So
1.4
it's
billion.
something huge, which we
Yes.
should, when we talk about it, we talk about the second largest economy on earth.
It is a big experience.
Returning back to
Yes.
the press conference of the Prime Minister today, because he mentioned also another important topic, which is the exchange rate.
Yes.
And when he spoke about this, he spoke about the should be flexible exchange rate.
Flexible.
Because without this flexibility, we are not going to be able to cope with the current changes and challenges in the same time. And he said also something which is very eye-catchy and ear-catchy.
Yes.
We depend on these studies. We are not going to repeat the mistakes we did before. No, we are learning from these lessons not to repeat the mistakes, and because of that, we are all the time adopting a flexible way of dealing with such a thing for the best interest of our economy. This is to admit that we had mistakes, but we are learning lessons.
Yes.
This is to say that the flexible exchange rate is going to take place for the best interest of both the state and the investors, and this is taking place on the ground. How do you see these statements by the Prime Minister?
This is the best attraction to the foreign investors. When we say flexible exchange rate, this means it can go up or down. Let us be clear about this. The word flexible means it is a flexible economic policy which is adopted and which will enable the investors. I'm always looking to the investors to come invest in Egypt, and at the same time look to other areas, not only for one sector, but because they come for example, for infrastructure. And at the same time they find another chance in land reclamation. They invest in land reclamation and call other investors to come with them in collaboration with the Egyptian investors. That is very important.
Sure.
When the Egyptian investor feels comfortable in this market, this is the best impetus for the foreign investors to come. So let us first focus on the Egyptian investor, because when he is sure that he will make profit, he's looking for profit. This will encourage other investors to come and join hands and maybe have their own projects. And in many cases, we find that the German or European investors are coming, 3 or 4 consortiums are coming together to invest, for example, in Western Desert, in Suez Canal, in Sinai.
And by the way, Dr. Hassan Khatib, as we speak, is in Germany to participate in one of the economic forums for what? For attracting more foreign direct investment. But before leaving this, it was really great to listen to the Prime Minister when he said, when we talked with the experts, when we listened to the economic experts, meaning that consulting experts in each domain is the way we deal with each file. It's not haphazardly. We do not take decisions just like that, but after studying it well, because without studying it, it's going to be in vain. And there is nothing now in Egypt in vain. There is nothing taken just haphazardly. Everything is well studied and on the right
It
direction.
is a pragmatic approach.
This is it, sir.
It is as simple as that.
Right after the short break, we are going to turn back, as now we are going to listen to a detailed comprehensive report regarding the core of this episode, regarding the outlines of the Egyptian investment policies. We are going to be back right after this, so stay tuned.
A report issued by UBS revealed that the Egyptian government is on the verge of a boom in foreign direct investment. Remittances from Egyptians working abroad and the recovery of Suez Canal revenues, which enables Egypt to collect between $19 and $20 billion in net flows during the next 4 quarters until the end of the second quarter of 2025. The report confirmed the existence of a positive dollar surplus of about $7 to $8 billion during the second quarter of 2025, while the most optimistic scenario indicated a 30% increase in foreign direct investment and investment portfolio flows, in addition to the return of remittances to 2021-2022 levels, which could bring the cumulative net dollar flows to $19 to $20 billion. In a related context, Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, reviewed before the General Session of the Senate the state's policies aimed at facilitating investors and facilitating the movement of foreign trade to Egypt, as well as the ministry's efforts aimed at attracting more investments and increasing Egyptian exports to foreign markets. The minister said that the ministry aims to attract foreign direct investment with a focus on improving the business environment and facilitating procedures, which enhances Egypt's competitiveness as a major destination for investment and trade in the region, and reflects the ministry's commitment to providing sustainable investment opportunities that support economic growth. Within the framework of the plan to promote investment in Egypt, Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib held intensive meetings with senior officials in the German government, in addition to businessmen's gatherings and representatives of German companies with the aim of enhancing joint economic cooperation. The Minister of Investment highlighted the economic reforms taken by the government that aim to facilitate the business environment in Egypt, support foreign investments, and remove obstacles that investors may face in the Egyptian market. In addition to the investment incentives that Egypt offers to foreign investors, the minister discussed the advantages of the preferential trade agreements that Egypt has concluded with many global blocs, which provide German companies with a great opportunity to enter those markets by investing in Egypt. Many German companies have expressed their interest in investing in Egypt, especially in the fields of infrastructure, new energy, and communications technology, reflecting the growing confidence in the Egyptian market as a promising regional center for investment and export. The last 10 years have witnessed many development achievements that have had a positive impact on the lives of citizens across Egypt, as large national projects have created job opportunities for millions of young people and contributed to achieving an unprecedented boom in economic development indicators. Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib also stressed that the economic boom of the policies currently implemented requires a period of time ranging between 2 to 3 years. He added that in order for Egypt to achieve the targeted export volume of $145 billion, it needs new and huge investments and an increase in the number of factories, which takes time to show results.
Welcome back. Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, Dr. Hassan Al-Khatib, presented the government's policies aimed at facilitating investment and enhancing Egypt's foreign trade during a plenary session at the Senate. Let's dive into this in the remaining part of our episode to know in more details about what we have regarding our investment arena. Al-Khatib announced that the ministry is finalizing Egypt's strategic investment plan, I like the word strategic, which focuses on attracting foreign direct investment by what? By improving the business environment and simplifying procedures.
Improving and simplifying.
Amen.
These are two passwords. Improving means that we listen, first we listen to the investors and see what they are complaining of. So I'm improving what they are complaining of. This is one thing.
Yeah.
Simplifying means that bureaucracy always creates obstacles at the pretext of that is for the safeguard, to safeguard the interests of the economy. No. Bureaucracy is keen to protect itself at the pretext of protecting the economy. No. They are not doing that, but they are hampering economic development in Egypt. That is why when we say make it facilitating and make it transparent, which is very important for any investor, he needs to know exactly how long, how many days will it take him to have the green light for his project, and how long will it take and how much will it cost him to clear his machinery from the customs area until it reaches his factory or the location. We need to have clear guidelines as far as what the cost, money cost, and time cost, and procedures cost. This is very important. That is why the Minister of Foreign Trade, Investment and Foreign Trade is doing his best, because he has listened first of all to them. He is an investor himself before being a minister. He's an investor. So he knows what is needed. And he have faced many obstacles. That's why he came to clear the obstacles.
He was wearing the same shoes before.
Yes.
And we are going to continue to this because you mentioned the word transparency, and it was exactly said in the report or the statements by Al-Khatib. He outlined the government's efforts to foster a flexible and stable economic environment characterized by what? By transparency, and another very important word, competitiveness.
Competitive. I will stick to the competitive here because why?
Okay.
Because many investors, when they come to Egypt, they are looking to Jordan, to Saudi Arabia, to Morocco, to Germany, to Brazil or whatever, or to Argentina, to see which one is more competitive for them, which one gives them more preferences and facilitations, and at the same time, when they come to Egypt, they don't look to the only 110 million consumers, but rather to 1.5 billion consumers, or would-be consumers in Africa, because we have many and several trade agreements with Africa, especially with the African countries and the other countries, of course. So when they come to this market, they know that this it is a springboard to other markets. When they come to this market, they know it is stable. Stability is very important for any economy and for any investor. Clarity, that is very important. Facilitations, that is a must for any would-be investor to come, who knows that for sure when he goes to the minister will is opening his doors to the would-be investors.
In addition to new cities, the workforce, the developed infrastructure, all these things are or should be concerned also as some of the incentives given to the
another
investors
factors
or the men of industry. Let's also add them.
The labor, the skilled labor which you have in Egypt.
Qualified workforce.
Qualified and skilled labor at low cost. That is very important. Another thing was clarity of laws and regulations which govern investment in Egypt. That is very important, the clarity and the stability. That is not, I'm not changing the laws and regulations every day. No, he came...
Not to change, but to be flexible enough to meet the
Flexible,
requirements
yes.
of the market.
Yes.
By the way, before continuing our episode, I'd like beg your pardon to His Excellency Minister Ahmed Kujuk. Ahmed Kujuk is the Minister of Finance. I said that Dr. Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Finance. I beg your pardon, sir. Dr. Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade. Dr. Ahmed Kujuk is our Minister of Finance. I beg your pardon, sir.
Yes.
Of course, they are all responsible for our economic circle.
Yes.
In addition, of course, to the Minister of Planning and, of course, Minister of Industry. We are all, let's say, playing the symphony together.
Yes.
The orchestra should play together, and the President was is very much keen in all occasions to stress the importance of having this full coordination and cooperation among all different governmental institutions or among different ministries, because we are not working in separate islands. We are all working together for the best interest of the Egyptian people.
You said orchestra.
Yeah?
It is orchestra.
Yeah.
It is really orchestra. Why? Because they are working as a team.
Mm-hmm.
It is a teamwork, not individual anymore.
Yes.
Each ministry is taking in consideration what the other ministries are doing and cooperating with them, and before promulgating any law, they see what is the effect of this law on other organizations and ministries. So when they issue a law, it is the Council of Ministers issued the law. That is, it is a balanced law which takes in consideration the interests and needs of all the other ministries, and at the same time they all cooperate together. They are rowing in the same boat.
And with our digital transformation,
Yes.
all the concerned bodies, they do have the access of all data
same time.
in the same time.
Yes,
So
at the same moment, yes.
it's not difficult at all to find that all the data is here, and whenever you have the data, you own the world. Returning back to Dr. Al-Khatib's statements or the report, when he stressed the government's focus on local industrialization, protecting it from trade practices, fostering its growth, positioning it as the backbone of the national economy, and setting the private sector to play a pivotal role in advancing this economic growth.
Localization of industry in Egypt
Yeah.
needs all what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the industrialists, when they sit with the minister, they say clearly and exactly what is needed by the minister to be done by the minister. We find that within 24 hours or 48 hours, a new regulations are issued, so that makes it easier for these investors to come and begin the work, just to begin the work. That is why when the Minister of Trade and for Investment and Foreign Trade and the Minister of Finance, two ministers are very important for the would-be investors and the actual investors and those who are thinking of Egypt as a good destination for their investors, for their investments. So when we see that these business people are coming to Egypt, they find it is a fertile and lucrative, fertile land, fertile resources, many resources, and at the same time it is lucrative for them.
Potentials, incentives, you name it. Yeah.
A lot of incentives has been given to the would-be investors. Now we want to see the results. Results, as we have seen this 2024, we have seen the results are quite positive.
Yeah.
That means that the regulations which were issued and the laws which were issued give direct result in the very short term. That is mean that many investors are coming in and many investors are increasing their investments in Egypt in certain sectors and creating new sectors, and in many cases they create new industries.
And sir, if you permit me, we would like to divide or to speak about two sides of the same coin regarding localizing our industry.
Yes.
Localizing our industry, of course, to help and to support our men of industry, our Egyptian men of industry, and to help also those who were facing some obstacles to revive their factories once again and to have their share in our industrial segment. And also, of course, we are attracting and we are inviting all men of industry from all over the world to have their industries or companies or factories here, but with using our local components. And when we increase our local components to 50 or to 60%, meaning that we are benefiting to the maximum from our resources, and this is going to be a win-win situation.
When we say localizing industry, this means two things. First, import substitution. Second, export. That is why when we see new industries and extension in the existing industries, this means that the manufacturers have in mind two things: satisfying the local market, at the same time creating export opportunities for him and for his products in other markets. There are tools for this.
Yeah.
One of the tools, our commercial attaches in the foreign countries, in Africa and in Europe and Asia and in Latin America. They are the eyes, the ears, and in many cases the tongues or the hands.
Scouters.
Yes.
They are the eyes behind the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do a lot as far as the commercial attaches or whatever the rank is. They do a vital role in creating new investments opportunities for the would-be investors because they know the market.
Yeah.
They have seen the factories. I have been in this process for many years. We have visited the factories in Naga Hammadi, in Aswan, in Suez Canal, in Alexandria, in the Western Desert. We have seen it so that we touched it. When we speak about something which you have seen and sometimes tasted, this means that we are in a better position to explain. That is to say, when the would-be investors is asking about some details and they find that the commercial attaché knows the details, he feels relaxed.
Yeah.
This encourages him to step in. And the first step is very important for us. For me, it is very important that he takes the first step to come to the market. He will come with his money, with his know-how, with transfer his technology, and in many cases he comes, he has in his pocket some new markets for the industries and for the factories which he will
Because there are
establish in Egypt.
short-term plans
Yes.
and long-term plans,
Yes.
and any successful businessman, any successful investor,
So-
he is not only thinking about what he is going to do in this year, the next year, or even the coming 5 years,
Yes.
but what about
For
the
long
coming
range.
20
Yes,
years?
yeah.
What about new generations of his factory? Well, we do have a lot to speak about regarding this, but sir, before going into that, when you were talking about, or when we were talking about localizing industry and using our natural resources, I cannot imagine until the moment that we do have this black sand, we do have our cotton, we do have our phosphate, and we export them as a raw material and then export them once again when they are products or goods. To take this into consideration, to make sure that this is something which is going to have a big stop and we are going to benefit from our own resources and we are not going just to export them as raw materials again, this is, I think, a leap, a turning point, if you agree with me.
When we say localization of industry, that is using the local ingredients and components and raw materials and increasing its value. Increasing its value by processing it and exporting it in a processed form.
Yep.
It is as simple. When you speak about phosphate, we export phosphate to Indonesia, raw phosphate. And when I was in India, I asked the Indians are coming, do you need phosphates? I said, well, why do you take phosphates? Why don't you take phosphate fertilizer? Say, why? I said, well, the cost will be far less. Yes, because instead of conveying and transporting raw material, you are transporting finished product, which will be used directly in the fields according to your specifications. When they came to Egypt in India, for example, because I have been in this, and they found that they can use the Egyptian phosphates in a processed form.
Yep.
And we call it phosphates oxide 5. When we export in oxide 5 form, this means that we are making economy, and at the same time we are creating a new market, and at the same time we are helping the Egyptian industry to raise its standard and use modern technology, because they are exporting more, so they use more sophisticated.
We do have a
means of
huge
production.
complex for that in specific in Al Ain al-Sukhna,
Yes.
and I do remember when it was inaugurated, it was such a source of pride to all of us that we do
Pride,
have
yes.
this huge complex, huge industrial complex. Returning back to Dr. Al-Khatib, when he highlighted the government's phased plan to reduce non-tax financial and procedural burdens on investors. In the first phase, measures include reducing the training fund from 1% of profit to 0.25% of the minimum wage, and amending the solidarity contribution tax to be calculated on profit rather than on revenues.
This is a very important aspect, because when we are giving proper training to the labor, this means I am increasing their value in the market. At the same time, I'm dispensing the need to foreign labor to come. We see many factories, Chinese factories, they come with their labor. But when they find that the Egyptian labor is doing the business, it is less expensive for them,
Sure.
and far better for them to use the Egyptian labor. So training is very, I will say vital, not very important. It is vital for any new industry. It needs training and transfer of technology and know-how, because in many cases we find that the Egyptian labor, they are keen to know, keen to compete, and keen to compete the foreign labor, and we have seen them
And smarter to acquire information
We have
and
seen
data.
them,
We
we have
know
seen the
that,
Egyptian
and
labor in
we
foreign
were
markets.
proud of that, by the way.
Well, we are proud of them.
Yeah. Also, Al-Khatib revealed a phased plan to cut customs clearance times, targeting 4 days in the first phase and just 2 days by the year 2025.
Year
think this was a
2025, that is a matter of months.
Yeah.
When we is stipulating that clearing any merchandise or goods from the custom or machinery or whatever from the custom should be not more than 4 days, and we want it to be 2 days, this means that the minister and the ministry and the government as a whole is keen, because they know what is needed. Because when some machinery is in the customs, every day they pay in dollars. Every day they pay in dollars until it is cleared. So decreasing, lowering the cost for them means a lot from economic point of view.
Sure.
And it means a lot for them because they are cost-minded. They always look to the cost. How long will it take in the customs? How much will they pay? And how many days and hours will they be able to establish the factory and begin production?
Times means
So
money.
it is a time.
Time means money. Yeah.
It is as simple as this.
Amen to that. Well, we were talking about all the elements or outlining the Egyptian strategy regarding investments, but what is the goal? The goal is Egypt aims to rank among the top 50 global trade countries in the very near term and reach the top 20 by the year 2030, achieving a transformative leap in export performance.
This is the goal. Why are the ministers, not only one minister, most of the ministers are working for this goal because they have it in mind, and at the same time they are taking the necessary steps to make it possible, feasible, and pragmatic approach, so that tomorrow, I will say 2025, that is after a couple of months, it will be in 2025. This means that the minister, they have clear idea what is needed to be done and when it should be done, and the time frame is very important for them, because time frame means, for me, means cost. Cost is very important in any activity which we have At the same time, we are trying to give all the impetus and all facilities and all the easy way of doing business in Egypt, so that the investors increase their investments and more investors come, and at the same time we create new industries, and we have this is even as far as the Western Desert and as far as Sinai. We have seen many new factories are established in Sinai for fertilizer or so on, and then for chemicals. We are very pleased that we are seeing this happen in a very short term, and it will be reflected on the Egyptian economy in the short term, not only in the long term, but even 2025. We see the results. The results are positive, and production is increasing, and income of individual is increasing, and at the same time there is control for the prices and the costs, and this is what the consumers or investors need and what they want, and they are clear about what they want. And the minister listens to the investors and to the economists.
Yeah.
Economists are very important. We have to keep economists in mind in any action which we take, because the economists see the cost and the repercussions and how it will benefit or not benefit the economy, and that is why the economists do a wonderful job as far as guiding the best way to use our resources, and our resources are not limited, are unlimited resources in Egypt.
Yeah. Well, and as we speak, Hassan Al-Khatib, Egypt's Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, concluded his visit to Germany by meeting with the State Minister for Economic Affairs of North Rhine-Westphalia. The two officials discussed potential avenues for cooperation in trade and investment, agreeing that a German delegation led by the State Minister will visit Egypt next year, accompanied by companies based in the state, to host the second Egypt-North Rhine Economic Summit. This is to implement what we agreed upon on the ground. No more ink on paper, no more only deals. No, those deals are implemented and for the best interest of our economy, to boost our economy in all domains.
When we see 15 German companies are coming with the minister, 15 German are German. I said German.
Yep.
German it means many, a lot for us as far as the economy and industry are concerned. That is why when they come with the minister, they mean they come for business.
And means that his job was fulfilled, that his mission was that successful.
Successful mission. Mission
and
possible.
we wish that mission possible.
Possible, yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed our discussion as usual,
Me
sir.
too.
Thank you very much for your input. And we were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister of Commercial. Now I'm going to review the most important economic events which took place in the last 7 days. Till we meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nurmeen Abdurrahman.
Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Prime Minister, praised the launch of the Egyptian-Italian Ro-Ro line, stressing that it represents a qualitative leap in facilitating the movement of Egyptian exports, especially agricultural products that require rapid transport to maintain their quality, explaining that the maritime line allows for reducing shipping time compared to traditional means, which enhances Egypt's ability to compete in European markets. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi issued Decree number 521 of 2024 to form the Board of Directors of the Central Bank, headed by Hassan al-Sayyid Hassan Abdullah, acting Governor of the Central Bank, starting from November 27, 2024, for a period of 1 year. Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Prime Minister, held a meeting with Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, Prime Minister of Qatar and Minister of Foreign Affairs, to discuss ways to support joint cooperation in various fields. Qatar is studying the implementation of new investment projects in the Egyptian market in the sectors of real estate, and tourism development, ports and logistics areas, data centers and industry. Madbouli indicated that there is a request from the Qatari side regarding investment opportunities in the tourism and hospitality sector in the North Coast region. The Prime Minister of Qatar added that his country has a real desire to enhance the prospects of investment cooperation with Cairo in various fields that contribute to achieving a common interest for the two countries. The central bank revealed that net foreign assets achieved a surplus of $9.2 billion by the end of October. Net foreign assets achieved a surplus for the first time, amounting to £676.4 billion during the month of May, compared to a deficit of £174.385 billion by the end of April, so that foreign assets achieved a surplus for the first time since January 2022. A coalition consisting of Chinese investors and the private and government sectors seeks to establish an integrated agricultural complex on an area of 1 million acres in the new Valley Governorate, with investments estimated at about $7 billion. The first phase of the project includes cultivating 1,000 acres, ending in September 2025. The project is supported by the Chinese government to cultivate several strategic crops, most notably wheat, corn, soybeans and sunflowers, in addition to some types of fruits for export to Europe. During the current month of November, 3 Malaysian car factories, Al Nasr Company and another Chinese, were opened, and there are negotiations with the government about 5 other new factories that plan to start manufacturing cars soon, in addition to car component factories such as spare parts and electric batteries. This boom means that Egypt is gradually turning into a regional center for the car industry, supported by a large local market and a focus on export. Egypt's exports of preserved tomatoes recorded about $92 million last year, with total quantities reaching about 65,000 tons. The Export Council for Food Industries said that Poland was the largest market for Egyptian tomatoes, with a value of $15 million, representing 16% of Egypt's total exports last year. Morocco came in second place with a value of $10 million, followed by Portugal with a value of $8 million and a percentage of 9%, then Jordan and South Africa in 4th and 5th place. Engineer Hassan Al-Khatib, Minister of Investment and Foreign Trade, held a series of intensive meetings with senior officials in the German government, in addition to businessmen's gatherings and representatives of German companies, with the aim of enhancing joint economic cooperation. During his visit to Germany, one company requested a plot of land to establish the first factory in the Middle East and Africa to produce flame-resistant fibers used in aircraft manufacturing, while another company, a giant in the world bicycle industry, requested a plot of land to establish a factory to produce bicycle parts for export to its factories in Europe as production inputs, with investments amounting to €10 million.